Welcome to She Wears Boldly. I am your host, Dr. Deborah. Today, we're going to be diving into the stories of extraordinary women who are rewriting the rules, shattering expectations, and refusing to fade into the background. Empowered women say no to being defined by their challenges in a world that tries to silence and sideline them. She Wears Boldly celebrates the remarkable journeys of women who have transformed their struggles into stepping stones to success. So grab your coffee or tea, settle in, and get ready to be inspired and fired up. Everyone, this is Dr. Deborah, and this is She Wears Boldly, and we're going to roar today with Karen. She has an amazing message, so don't turn it off. Listen all the way through, because she's got some awesome things to say to you and an incredible product we'll be talking about at the end. So stay tuned. Karen, would you like to tell them a little about yourself?
Sure. So hello, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and chat with you. And so I am a menopause coach. A lot of people try to figure out, well, what exactly does that mean? And I really try to be just a menopause mentor for women because it is such a challenging time. And as Gen X is going through this, we are learning that we are not prepared. And unfortunately, even when we ask our moms questions, they don't really have the answers either. So we're kind of just creating this ourselves as we're going through this. And so my goal as a menopause expert, as a menopause mentor, as a menopause health coach is just to really help women get educated so that they can advocate for themselves when it comes to the best health care. Because that's where we're really seeing a lot of women struggling is to get answers so that they feel better, because this is it's a confusing time, it's an overwhelming time, and it can be a little scary at times. So I have been doing this for about 7 years. I've really been focusing on menopause when I started going through my own menopause journey. But before that, I was also a fitness trainer. I am a nutritionist. I've been health coaching, just general health coaching for 11 years. And just really focusing in on menopause for like about the last 7 of them.
Yeah, I don't think we talk enough about that.
No, not
Used
yet.
to
We
be we
will.
didn't talk about childbirth. Now we don't talk about menopause. Yeah.
And
It's
we're
not a
learning that,
it's not a forbidden subject. It's okay.
and I don't know that it's necessarily women don't talk about it because they're embarrassed. And that, I mean, I'm sure that could be some of it. You know, we don't want to admit that we're getting older. We don't want to admit that we're struggling maybe with weight or libido or whatever it is. I think a lot of it, though, stems from just lack of knowledge. We don't even know what to talk about. We don't know what questions. We don't know what's normal. And are we sharing something that's weird that somebody else is not going to be able to understand? And so I think we're learning as we open up these conversations that a lot of it is unfortunately normal. And when we share with each other, we're able to learn from one another. So we are doing a great disservice by being silent.
Yeah, we actually didn't talk about this in our conversation, but your message is going sometimes to 30-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
They need to hear it because I had cancer, uterine cancer, stage 3. They took everything. And I didn't know what was happening to me. And now looking back, I realized I was going through a crash course of menopause.
Oh, yeah.
And that was all those crazy feelings I was having. And, on top of the surgery and that kind of loss,
Yeah.
but my whole body was crazy and I was going crazy. And the doctor never talked to me about that I would be going into menopause because my body, that's what my body thought happened,
Yeah.
when they took my stuff. And so, it's not just for people that are 40 plus. It's
Mm-mm.
sometimes it's for people who go through situations like me.
Yeah.
And it's
And
scary.
so
It was really scary to me.
I'm sure because you're trying to figure out, you already had a major surgery and you're trying to figure out, is everything else normal versus
Yeah.
somebody that's just going through it, naturally, I'll say, quote unquote. Um, there are a lot of questions and it's it just baffles my mind, women that have either a full hysterectomy or a partial hysterectomy, that there is no follow-up care. There is no, hey, this is what you're going to experience. You would think that they would at least know that much. It's like when we left the hospital after childbirth and nobody talked about pelvic floor health. Like, why is this not even mentioned? And women's health is just kind of garbage. You know, once we start our period, it's kind of like we're on our own. But yeah, it's very interesting, and you are correct. Some women have this way earlier, whether it's because that's what their hormones are doing, or they've surgically been put into early menopause. And so these conversations are really for everyone. I talked to my 18-year-old about this because they need to know. These are the things to look for. I always joke that my son, who's 22, is well versed in menopause. They need to know these things, whether they are a female that's going to go through it or they are a male that is going to support their females in their life.
Wow, that's a cool statement.
Yeah.
Man, oh, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this, but yeah, they're doing the woman a total disservice if they don't
Mhm.
understand that this isn't something you can help, these feelings
No.
and these physical things. It's not something you can help. And if they have a better understanding of that, maybe they can be just a little more patient. Tell the men
Yeah.
listening out there.
Right.
Yes. And I
Right.
do have a few men on that. Yes.
Good. That is good. That is really good because I think men are a little bit more knowledgeable and understanding about a woman's period, whether they joke about it or not. But at least they
Right.
understand it and they
Right.
get when their partner is having their cycle. And then men experiencing pregnancy with their partner, being able to be a little bit understanding. And now all of a sudden, 15, 20 years later, the woman that they married or that they're involved with is
Yeah.
becoming somebody else, and that can be overwhelming for them too. And they're trying to get answers, and we're like, we don't know what's wrong with us. We just need you to just listen. We don't need you to fix it. Just listen to us. So the more we can educate them, the better. And it is important, and it's important whether your partner is a male or female. It's funny that I have clients that have female partners and their journeys are completely different. And so even trying to figure out, you would think, okay, well, I'm with a woman, so
Yeah.
she totally gets it. Not necessarily. And so it is a learning curve for all of us involved.
Yeah, because well, I can see where that would be even harder
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
like,
No
I
kidding.
don't know why you're acting like that. I'm
Right.
not.
I don't have this.
What's wrong with you? Yeah, that kind of a conversation. Yeah. Wow. Never thought of that. But
Yes.
yeah, it's scary if we don't have that information. I know there's tons and tons of books out there that I know that. But for
Mhm.
some reason, we as women don't tend to pick up those books. I don't know why. I guess we
Well,
just kind of go along in life and whatever socks us, we just kind of roll with it.
I think some of it is either we're being told that we're too young, you're not going through it yet, you're not, late 40s, you're not in your 50s, you don't have to think about it, which we all know that's not accurate. We're learning that.
Yeah.
So either they think they're too young or they chalk up whatever they're experiencing to, it's a busy season right now. I'm very stressed. My kids are stressing me out, this, that, or something else is happening. And so they don't equate what's happening to their body as
Yeah.
part of perimenopause and the menopause journey. And sometimes it's just, if we don't know it, we don't have to address it, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, I think being able to have conversations with each other and being open and honest and sharing and saying, hey, you know what? I read this book and it gave me a lot of answers. I'm going to pass it on to you. I think we just need to do that as sisters, create that sisterhood and just really support one another.
Oh, I love that. Sisterhood, definitely. Um, and there's probably audiobooks, people for you that don't like to read. You can
Oh,
like,
100%.
take that walk on the beach and have that in your head.
Books, podcasts. There's plenty of podcasts about it. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much information. You're right. And sometimes it just seems like too much noise. And so it's trying to figure out which noise do I really want to listen to, who's accurate, am I getting the best information? So I think sometimes that can be scary too.
Right. And like we were just talking about, not everybody's going to be the same. So
Mm-mm.
women shouldn't get upset if they're different than their sister or
Yeah.
even,
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
through the
And we
same
do.
thing.
We do
Yeah.
see that your journey might be completely different from your sister, your best friend, your mom, your grandma, whatever it is. Everybody is very unique, which means that the solutions might be a little different. But again, the more we talk about it, at least we can say, oh, you know what, my girlfriend at work, this worked for her. Is this something you would think that would work for me? And then you could at least have some information to open up that discussion. So it's never a bad thing to have more information, with regard to that and just trying to figure out how it fits in with your particular journey.
Oh, exactly. Um, so what was a critical moment when you said, I got to talk about this. I got to educate everybody. What put you there?
When I started screaming it from the rooftops. So I just did a TED talk, and I talked about this in my TED talk about. I remember I always equate it to my experience in. It was very similar to the Santa Claus. So if you ever saw the Santa Claus with Tim Allen, all of a sudden
Oh
I
yeah.
woke up and I had gained 30 pounds and I had a full beard. Not necessarily a full beard, but it was like from 45 to 46. I turned 46. I woke up and I was like, oh, my eyesight is different. My joints hurt. My libido is terrible. My workouts I'm struggling. Like I can't run anymore. I can't lift dumbbells. I could barely lift 8-pound dumbbells. My sleep was terrible. And I was like, I could sleep anywhere, anytime. And I was struggling with sleep. Like I said, I had gained weight. There was just so many
Oh
things. And
yeah.
I'm just listing all of these things. And my mom, I'm telling her all these things. I'm like, Mom, I don't know what is going on. I'm so tired. I can barely get out of bed. And she says, oh, it sounds like perimenopause. And I was like, what? What are you talking? What is perimenopause? What is that? And we had never discussed it before. And so she's like, oh yeah, it's just, it's a season before you actually stop having your cycle, before you go into menopause. And so I was like, well, wait a minute, I'm a nutritionist, I'm a health coach, I'm a fitness trainer. I have, all of these resources to help me feel good and healthy and be active. And I feel like garbage. And so what is the average woman doing that doesn't have these resources? And so that's really when I was like, okay, I got to educate myself. And I have a huge library of menopause books. It looks like a mini Barnes and Noble in my office. I attended webinars. I was going to workshops. I was traveling to find speakers to listen to, and just really educating myself so that I could then educate my community of women. And that's really just where it took off. And I've been doing that since. And it's been enlightening and it's been amazing. And it's crazy how brushed off we are by doctors, by healthcare providers, by, friends and family that are like, you're fine, don't worry about it. It's just a complete misunderstanding and not having the education. And because of that, so many women are suffering. And so my goal is to just help women, be able to advocate for themselves. And so we do that by having knowledge.
Oh yeah, advocating.
Hmm.
Most of medical is advocating, particularly for women.
Yes.
I really feel
Yeah.
strongly about that, that we have to fight. And back before, long ago, women just accepted
Hmm.
what was done. But I love that you said advocating, because we have to advocate for ourselves and
Yeah.
say, okay, this is happening. Is this normal? Have those
Right.
conversations. Don't be afraid. Because I think sometimes, even if you got a female doctor,
They don't
physician
always know
assistant,
either.
they don't talk about it either, do they?
Mm-mm. No. And I think the misconception is just because something is common that a lot of us experience doesn't mean that it's not treatable. It doesn't mean that you have to have that. Hot flashes are common, but we have ways to minimize and, get rid of hot flashes. And being, again, just being able to know what questions to ask and what treatment options are out there is so important. And I say it all the time, if your child was sick, if your dog was sick, you would advocate for them 100%. But for some reason, we don't do it for ourselves. We just accept, okay, and then we just go on our merry way and continue to be miserable, and hope that at some point it gets better on its own.
I wonder why that is.
I think we're exhausted. I think we're so tired of caring for
I like
everybody
that.
else. We're like, okay, all right, fine.
I'll
But
just
I
live
think
with it. It'll be okay.
as we get older and we start to realize I don't want to be miserable for the next 40 years,
Yeah.
I think we start to feel empowered and say, enough is enough. I need to do this for myself. I know for me, finally, after 6 years, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of being overweight. I'm tired of doing all of the right things and still struggling with this 30 pounds. I'm tired of not getting sleep. And I'm tired of being so tired where I just can't even function throughout the day. And so I finally found somebody that was willing to listen to me, took the time, took my test, tried to figure out what symptoms I was dealing with, and then, was able to give me the option that what I wanted to go through. Here's the options that you have. What would you like to do for your body? What do you feel comfortable with? And I started taking hormone replacement therapy, and it made a world of difference. And I'm thinking, so for 6 years, I suffered and I could have just done this. The problem is, most of us will see between 4 and 7 doctors before we are actually treated.
Well, it took me 3 doctors
Mm.
for them to diagnose the cancer, and I had to fight my way all the way through it. And the
Oh,
last
God.
doctor humored me, humored me
You're like, thank
twice.
you. Oh, my goodness.
So by the time he walked in and said, "You've got stage 3 cancer," I said, "Thank you."
Yeah,
I was ready. I mean, it
right.
was like, "Thank you."
Thank you for
I
listening finally.
Now I know what I'm dealing with. Now we can have options. Now we can talk,
100%.
because they don't realize, I don't know. Yeah, humored me.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of doctors will come back and, again, saying you're too young or there's not a test. Like you can't take a test like you take a pregnancy test to tell if it's menopause or not. And so, really, when we advocate for ourselves, it's just going in with data. These are the symptoms. This is how often it's having, I'm having it. This is the severity. This is, these are the triggers that I'm noticing of when I'm getting the symptoms. And so that was my biggest thing is I was noticing women just needed to have support
Yeah.
through information, through data. And that's why I created my health tracker. And it's for women just to be able to track their health so they can go in with, here it is. Here it is. You can't dispute data. And it gives them just a visual for the doctors to kind of see where they're, what are they struggling with? And hopefully they will treat the symptoms.
Oh, I like that. Making a list. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because,
So,
if you just went, well, I just feel wonky.
right. If you, and the other thing is,
Feel
is the time is
off.
so short. Right. If you just go in and say, I feel a little off, they're going to be like, just eat less and move more, or just try to get some more sleep, or let's try an antidepressant. But if you go in with these different trackers that say, here's my sleep, here's my food plan, here's my workouts, here's my, whatever it is. In my tracker, I have 23 different trackers. So you can really track whatever it is that you're
Wow.
struggling with. And so it is a great resource for women to be able to say, okay, here's the information. So when you feel rushed or you have brain fog and you can't remember everything, it's already written down and you can just show it to them. Because that is one of the big things, in those appointments. We do feel like we don't have enough time and we don't get to go into details, or we feel flustered and we forget everything, or we just can't describe it. So this helps us go in prepared.
Oh, that is really important. It really is
Yeah.
because, it's like what you're going to say. You get there and then you're,
Right. And again, we would remember when we had babies, we would track when we fed them and what their first bowel movements were. Just at the
yeah,
beginning, we didn't necessarily do that for a long period of time, but we did it when we brought them home.
right.
So we would have that information. We wrote all that stuff down. And even if your kid was having a flu, or whatever, they were struggling, they've been sick for a couple days or a couple weeks, even, you would have that information. Okay, they threw up here and this happened here. And again, why do we not do this for
Mm,
ourselves?
that is the question. Why
I
don't
know.
we?
Is the $1 million question. If we could solve it, we would be the millionaires.
How about the solution is we just do it?
Right. We have to. We have to at some point just say, you know what, tired of feeling this way and I have to do this for myself. You know, we talk about self-care and so often, you know, self-care is a bubble bath or a pedicure. Self-care could be just taking your supplements, making your doctor's appointments, getting a second opinion. Sometimes that's what self-care is.
Oh, and that just can't say enough about that second opinion thing.
Yes.
And searching for the right doctor, even though they've
Yeah.
been your doctor since you were two, find the right doctor
Yeah.
because if you have someone that's not listening to you and hasn't over the years, go out there and find somebody who'll listen,
Yeah.
who'll
Yeah.
look
No,
at
I
that
agree.
chart you take in and not just
Yes.
brush it off. Because, too often I think we think sometimes that male figures, I don't know if we were raised that way since we were small, probably because that's what I talk about. But, the messages are small, we carry through life. So we're thinking, well, I guess, I'm a woman. It just is the way it is.
Right. I'm just getting older. This is just a female
Yeah,
problem.
and I don't
Yeah.
want to complain about it because nobody really cares, and I don't want them to think I'm, yeah. And really, our health is as important as a male's.
Well, 100%. I mean, if we're running the household, we need to feel our best so that we could be our best for everybody. I was listening
Right.
to I don't remember what it was on, whether it was a podcast or just like a Instagram story or something. And this was a doctor who before started treating menopause women and really understood it. She always referred to her patients as WWs. There's a WW in that room waiting for you. And that was a whiny woman. And now that she knows better and she's doing better, she's like, they're not whining. They're just wanting to be heard. And I was so wrong until I started going through it myself. And so yeah, it is hard to find a doctor that's willing to listen. And I have a lot of clients that'll tell me, well, this doctor delivered my babies and they've known me forever. And that doctor might have been amazing for that period of your life, but now you're in a new period. This is a new season, and you might need somebody else. And so I don't think it's a bad thing to ask, do you feel qualified to work with me as I'm going through menopause? You wouldn't hire a plumber and be like, hey, do you want to do some electrical work for me? You know? And so I think it's okay to ask that. And then you put it back on them and they'll say either yes or no. And if they don't, hopefully they'll say, but I've got a great person I would refer you out to. It doesn't mean that you don't love them less or you don't respect them less. You know, you still respect them, but you need somebody that's knowledgeable in this particular season. And I think it's okay if we ask those questions.
Oh, definitely. Um, I know when I started the journey with the cancer, I talked to my GP, the one that did the babies and my kids, and he was great. I mean, he tried to figure out what was wrong with me. He actually did. He worked really, really hard at it, but cancer never came into his brain
Not his
or
wheelhouse.
mine at that
Right.
point. Yeah, I just knew something was really wrong with me. I didn't know what it was, and he ran a lot of tests. But then he said, "Okay, you need to go to a gynecologist and see if they can figure something out." And it was a passing up, but he did all he could, but he didn't have that knowledge. You're correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Regular GPs don't have that kind of knowledge. They have a big blanket of knowledge.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
what we always expect is that they're just experts in everything, but they can't be. You know, for the longest, I was a middle school teacher before I did all of this. And I could teach middle school, but I couldn't teach elementary. You put me in a kindergarten class, I would have no idea what I was doing, right? Like we all have our
Right.
specialties. And I think we always just expect that they're just the experts, they have all the knowledge, but it's not necessarily true. And what we're learning, the more they talk about this, is that most doctors going through medical school get between 2 hours and maybe 2 weeks of menopause training. Menopause isn't considered a disease. So they don't look at it and study it like they do if you're studying about cancer or stroke
Right.
patients or whatever it is. And so it's just kind of brushed over. They get general information, whatever. Um, So unless they search out additional information, they really don't have a lot. And we just assumed that they would. Um, and I think now we're starting to realize, okay, that's not necessarily, the case. And so it's again, it's okay to ask, hey, is this your wheelhouse? Should I find somebody else that is, qualified?
Exactly. Yeah. If you actually think about all the medical books and information that are out there, just if you doubt it, go to a big library and go in the medical section. There's no way any one person can have all that
No,
knowledge,
no,
or
no.
even know where to look for that knowledge.
Exactly. You're
And
right.
a GP is going to be treating everything from a 100-year-old to a baby. So how, it's not their fault. That's not their
Right.
job.
No, 100%. And I think that's again, I think we just have to be aware of that.
Right. Exactly. Wow. That's crazy. So, what advice would you give someone who is encouragement, I guess I want to say, someone who is a little more shyer and scared of having that conversation with people or their doctor, you know, what could you give to motivate them? Because there's a lot of women
I
out
would
there that
say
don't
if
want to
they're
talk about it.
right, right. And that's really hard. I guess the biggest thing is honestly, and until they say enough is enough and seek out treatment, there's probably not a lot you can do. I mean, it's kind of like somebody that, maybe they have an eating disorder or whatever it is. Until they are willing to acknowledge it themselves, there's not a lot you can do. But if there is a woman out there that's like, I know something is off, but I'm still reluctant to, share it with my coworkers or talk to my partner about it, or maybe I just got a new doctor and I'm not ready to really open up that conversation, I would say start by maybe picking up a book. There's a lot of great new books that have just come out about menopause. So maybe pick up a new book. There's plenty on the bestseller list right now that you could find one easily. Um, Start there and then start to figure out what resonates with you. Like if you're reading a chapter and you're like, oh, I totally understand what they're talking about, and start tracking those things so that you do have that information, you do have that data. And then as you feel more comfortable, maybe, they get some suggestions. Okay, maybe there's something in the book that says if you're struggling with this, maybe this supplement would work for you. They could try some stuff on their own. But I think the biggest thing is just starting to get educated, trying to figure out what relates to their particular journey. And then when they start to feel like, okay, I think I'm ready to talk about this with somebody, they'll be ready to open up about it. Um, but I think the biggest thing is just educating yourself.
Great
Because I,
advice.
yeah, well, because I think the fear stems from not feeling like everybody else. Like you're going to be embarrassed. Like if I tell everybody that this is happening, what about if nobody else is experiencing this? And now I've just opened myself up and everybody's looking at me like I'm a weirdo. But when we read those books and we're like, oh, yeah, I didn't know that that's what happens. Then you start to feel like, okay, I'm part of something, and I'm not the only one going through this. And it's just nice to know that that you're not alone. And I think being able to educate yourself is the first place to realize that.
That's incredible because I think we as women, we've got to start talking to each other. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Even if my experience is different than your experience, I can learn from your experience.
yeah. And I think what we're starting to see now, where you would see maybe 10 years ago, anything that was brought up on menopause, like in a movie or a sitcom or whatever, it was always mocked, right? We were crazy and we're losing our mind and we're so angry. I think now we're starting to see where it's still made a little bit light of, but we're seeing, women on movie screens talking about, oh, I must be going through menopause or something. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, they're talking about it. But we're also seeing on talk shows people that we've grown up with, like Halle Berry and Drew Barrymore and Cameron Diaz, talking about it openly, and you're thinking, okay, these women are beautiful and they've got all the money if they needed, to have all this assistance that we can't have, and they're struggling. So then you're like, okay, I'm not doing this wrong. We're all in this together. And so it is important that we share that and we talk with one another and we don't mock it. I get it. We don't have to take everything too serious. It is serious, but it's always nice to know that there's other women out there, beautiful women and, rich women and all of that. And you're in good company. So
Yeah, and it's okay to laugh about it with someone.
yeah, sometimes you have to, otherwise you're going to go crazy.
Yeah, you don't want anybody laughing at you, but you can have
Right.
some fun with someone else who's going through it, and you guys can just
Right.
bond over it
Yes.
and deepen that relationship. We
A
bond over
hundred
having
percent.
pregnancy, we bond over having
We
babies.
we do.
We can bond over this. It's okay.
I think it's a great way to be able to bond with other women and get rid of that shame or that stigma of the negativity about it. And it is hard to talk about aging because you feel less confident, you feel less beautiful, you feel, less active or energized or whatever it is. And we feel less of as we get older. But I think if we share that together and we support each other, we recognize that we aren't less. We're just evolving into this new version of us. And she's still amazing and she's still worthy of care and love. And we just need to, be kind to ourselves and to our girlfriends and let them know that they too are worthy of the care and the kindness and the love. If so, what if they have a few more wrinkles or gray hair? They're still beautiful and they're still worthy.
Yeah, unless you're lucky like me, I got this.
No, I love it. I keep telling my husband, I'm like, if these gray
I'm
hairs would
not
just
dyeing
calm
it.
down,
This is my hair.
I would 100% go full gray if my hair would do
Yeah,
it.
my
Instead of
daughter
just
goes, and I
random.
know she'll be listening to, she goes, am I gonna have that happen too? I
Your
said,
hair is beautiful.
yeah, I just lucked out.
No, yeah, it's perfect. You got hair that people pay good money for.
I know, isn't that funny? Actually, my mom, she had the white hair, but and people would get mad at her. Well, what are you using? What kind of rinse? What kind of whatever? She goes, nothing. This is my hair.
I,
People
yeah,
were
this
so
is
mad.
it.
What do you mean that's your hair?
That's it. Oh, that's great. You save a lot of money.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we're down to that, believe it or not. Well, it went really quick. Um,
I know. I could talk
yeah,
about this all day.
yeah. Now it's your time to shine. So tell them about what you do, your products, and everything else. And she'll be giving me, as always, the links, so they'll be in the call notes. So if you're interested, you'll be able to pop through and have a fun conversation with her. So talk to them about what you do and what you can do
Uh,
for her.
I do. One of my things, like I said, I really like to educate people. So I do have an Instagram page that I just, post a lot of content on there about, ways to advocate for yourself, what kind of knowledge you need to have, and, just talking about general menopause information so that women do feel like they're not the only ones out there struggling with whatever it is. I felt like I was the only one struggling with vertigo going through menopause, and I realized that that was a common symptom, one of the 70 common symptoms. And so it's always nice to be able to read that and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. I get it. So you can find me on Instagram at midlife_health_coach. I also have a website, which is midlifehealthcoach.com. There's a ton of free resources on there. Just basically, again, just to give you more information. There's a quiz on there to, take the quiz and see where are you in the menopause journey. There's information on, how to open up the dialogue with your doctor, what questions to ask, what treatment options are available. I do menopause mentoring, so you can always hire me as a menopause coach. And I do speak at events, so people can have me come speak virtually to their community or their workplace, or doing it live if they're local. Actually, they don't even have to be local. I'm actually going out to Minnesota to speak at a women's conference, so I'm totally willing to travel. And then my book, which is Navigating Menopause, that's the one that's going to help you, collect that data that we keep talking about. That is on Amazon, so you can find it easily and get it, tomorrow and start tracking your journey. And that's about it.
Well, it sounds wonderful. Well, one question I ask everyone, what does She Wears Boldly mean to you?
Oh, that's a good one. Do you hear my dogs back there? You don't hear them at
I
all?
don't
Okay,
know.
good. I love you for that. Okay, they're out there talking to each other, but um
It's fine.
I think the I
This
think the
is
biggest
real life, folks. We have menopause
it
and we have animals, okay?
is we have yes, we have five animals that do not like to be quiet. Um I think She Roars Boldly is I think it's really about owning it. I think, when we own our journey, when we own our voice, when we own our health, that's the way we boldly, right? We stand into our truth and we're able to get the services that we need for ourselves, you know? So I think it's important that we are doing that boldly.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for showing up and having this incredible conversation with me because it's so needed. We need to join together as women and we need to
Oh,
support each other and we need to talk to each other. It's okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you try to talk to your sister and she doesn't get it, find somebody else. It's
I
okay.
agree. Get a second opinion.
Yeah, get a second opinion. It's all right. Well, again, thanks everybody who's listening and continue to share this with other people so that we can grow the community of women helping women. And that's what this is all about. We are all women and we all roar boldly in our own ways. Some of you roar quietly and some of you roar really loudly, but that's okay because when we come together, we can work together collectively and become that lioness pride out there that changes the world for other women and women coming up behind us
Mhm.
that change just the whole trajectory. So thank you again for showing up, everybody. Continue to share the podcast. And thank you, Karen, so much for your wisdom. And I know this is a subject that's totally going to resound with the women out there, even if they don't want it to. I was just thinking of some 40-year-olds I know that don't want to talk
Yeah,
about
even
sex.
if they're not ready to claim it yet.
They're not ready yet. Yeah. So thank you again for showing up.
Thank
And this
you.
is She Wars Boldly and Dr. Deborah is saying goodbye.